In the late 90s, an effort began to return valuable art that was looted by the Nazis during World War II. Among the most prized paintings were 5 by Austrian artist Gustav Klimt. Now, a 90-year-old woman in Los Angeles knows these paintings well because they belong to her aunt and uncle who lived in Vienna before the war. It took her 8 years to win these stunning paintings back, but now they're here in Los Angeles, and Vicki Curry has the remarkable story of their return.
It was an unusually wet day in Los Angeles, but nothing could dampen the spirits of Maria Altmann. This was the day she was reunited with a long-lost part of her heritage, 5 celebrated Gustav Klimt paintings, paintings the Nazis stole from her family 68 years ago.
Today's the day where, after so many years, a wish came true.
After 8 years of legal battles, the paintings were returned to Maria at the end of March. She's now sharing her joy at their return with the public, putting them on display at the Los Angeles County Museum of Art.
Now my hometown is Los Angeles, and that these paintings, thanks to the museum, followed me to my present hometown is just wonderful.
The incredible story of the paintings starts in early 20th century Vienna, when that city was a center of modern art and ideas. Maria's Aunt Adele and Uncle Ferdinand filled their palais, their mansion, with works of art. They were particularly entranced with the work of Gustav Klimt. Ferdinand commissioned Klimt to paint 2 portraits of Adele. The first became famous in the art world as a premier example of what's known as the artist's gold style.
These paintings represent the high point of Viennese art before the First World War. Moreover, certainly the gold painting is one of the icons of 20th century art.
The beautiful Adele died young when Maria was just 9 years old, and the girl treasured the portraits as part of her precious memories of Adele.
I remember her. She always wore a long white dress, always a gold long cigarette holder, which was unusual for those days.
So many wonderful memories over the years. And then the bad memories, when newlywed Maria's world changed forever.
When the Nazis came in March 11, 12, 1938, my father was dying, my husband was taken to concentration camp. The last thing I was fascinated with was what happens to the paintings, what happens to the palais. I could have cared less.
Maria and her husband eventually managed to escape and made their way to Los Angeles. They were not able to take anything with them. Meanwhile, her Uncle Ferdinand fled to Switzerland, also with nothing. He died there in 1945. What about the Klimt paintings? The Nazis took them and placed them in the Austrian National Gallery.
Everybody was dead. These belonged to my family. I didn't care everything they had taken from me, but they had robbed everything out of his palais.
After the war, Maria's family tried to get back their property, but the Austrian government made it difficult for exiled Jews to do this. And they also told Maria that her aunt had given the Klimt paintings to Austria.
And there was a dispute over Maria's aunt's will. Maria's aunt, who died in 1925, she had asked her husband, Maria's uncle, to give the paintings to the Austrian Museum when he died. But of course they were stolen from him before he died, and he died in poverty in Switzerland in 1945. And the lawyer for the family in the post-war era decided to essentially give up on the Klimt paintings to get other paintings out.
The family couldn't dispute Austrian officials since they didn't have access to the relevant documents. Eventually, Maria dropped the matter.
So I think for her it was pretty much a closed chapter until 1998 when this journalist, Hubertus Czernin, dug up the story and made it alive again.
That's when everything changed. Suddenly, the subject of Nazi-looted art was news again. Austrian officials, under pressure from the public, opened their archives. And that's when journalist Czernin discovered that post-war officials had lied about Adele's will.
The main art historians and managers of museums didn't want to lose the best paintings after the war.
I thought, well, yes, maybe she left them to the gallery. She always said one day they'll be at the gallery, but under different circumstances. Not that trucks came driving up to the house and removed everything from the house there was.
Maria asked attorney Randall Schoenberg to help reopen her case. She chose him because the two families had known each other in Vienna and later again in Los Angeles.
I remember the first time I went to Vienna when I was 11 years old and saw the gold portrait in the Austrian gallery, and my mom pointed out and said, you know, Maria Altmann, your grandmother's friend, that's her aunt, Adele. And little did I know 30 years later that I'd be bringing that painting to Los Angeles.
But it wasn't easy. Even though the documents showed the paintings had been stolen, Austria put up a fight.
I think there was no other case where the Austrian government or the art bureaucracy fought as intensively against the restitution as in this one.
The portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer, the gold portrait that's behind me, is one of their most famous paintings. It's on the cover of the guidebook of their National Museum. And I think there was a real resistance on their part to giving that up if they had any possible legal argument.
Maria sued Austria, and several years later, Austria finally agreed to return the paintings. That was this past January, and thousands of visitors rushed to see the Klimts before they left Vienna. Many people there feel the paintings are part of the country's national heritage. But Schoenberg says they're artifacts of an Austrian Jewish community that no longer exists.
It was wiped out by the Nazis. The people were either killed or went into exile. And these are symbols of that community. I think it's very fitting that they leave Austria as that community did and come now to the United States.
I'm a person that tries not to resent. And so it's difficult for me. I was very angry at times. But now that we resolved it, I try to see the good part of it.
The good part is that the people of Los Angeles now get to see these famous Klimt paintings. The LA County Museum of Art helped transport the paintings and will display them through June.
There are no Klimt paintings outside of the East Coast, so this is a tremendous opportunity for people to see these paintings, really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
The family hasn't decided yet what will ultimately happen to the paintings, which may be worth as much as $300 million. For now, Maria Altmann is just happy to share these memories with her family.
It was really about reclaiming our family's past and to see the paintings in person for the first time today with my son and with my grandmother is something I'll forever treasure.
I can't be happier to know that they are here now, and after a long stay away from my family, that we can enjoy them now in Los Angeles.
The Klimt paintings will be on display at LACMA through June 30th. For more information, you can go to their website at lacma.org. And that's our program. I'm Val Zavala. For everyone at Life and Times, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Life and Times is made possible through the